If you are looking for intrigue, you have come to the right place. Bell Center, Montreal, the site of tonight's Game 4 between the Capitals and the Montreal Canadiens. We had a game for all time here on Friday night in Game 3. We'll get into that, but you are with the Rink Report, Game Day Edition, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone. He is Tarik, I am John, and we are here. Montreal just wrapping up behind us as they took the second available morning skate today. The Capitals are done. We have some information. We don't have a lot of information, but we do know this. Logan Thompson is back and potentially available for tonight in Game 4. And that is a stunning development given what we saw, Tarik, at the end of Game 3. It looked like we may not see him for a while. He is definitely available, close to available, could be available, and nobody's going to tip hands. But we'll see what happens tonight.
Stunning is a great word. I mean, I was stunned. And, been covering this league for 20 years. There's very few things that make you go, what? And when he was out there working on rimmed pucks and then facing shots, you could look around at the, 24 media members. We were all like, what is happening here? We all saw him stagger off the ice with the help of Jason Service and teammates in Game 3. We thought for sure he would be done for Game 4, if not longer. And for him to be out there and taking a normal workload was surprising. And, if you're a Caps fan, you should be very encouraged by that. We don't know if he's going to play tonight. The gamesmanship in the playoffs is next level. Both he and Charlie Lindgren left the ice at the exact same time.
It was orchestrated.
And funny, we asked Coach Carberry about that, and he was like, they did what? So they orchestrated that, the players, which was, pretty cool to see. And, the other one, John, is Alexi Protas. He took contact yesterday, and he was out there today. And, I think the Caps could use him if he's indeed healthy and ready to return from that lower body injury.
Yeah, a little bit more than 3 weeks that Protas has been out of the lineup, and at least a possibility tonight here in Game 4. For Montreal, you remember back to the second period, TV timeout at the under 6, that Sam Montembeault left the game, seemed to be favoring a leg, possibly a groin, something along those lines, and he is not behind us. He did not take the morning skate today for Montreal. Jakub Dobeš expected to be the starter tonight, and they've recalled Caden Primo from AHL Laval, which is a huge hit for Montreal to lose a goaltender that has been tremendous for them down the stretch, maybe the single biggest reason why Montreal got into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, they've got a talented group of forwards. Dobeš has periodically played some pretty good hockey as well and could very well step in and do a fantastic job for him. But losing Montembeault is a big hit in this series for the home team here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you remember back in the regular season, Dobeš, if I believe, beat the Capitals, and Caden Primo lost to the Capitals. So they've got a little bit of a book on both of them. I think that helps a little bit, but losing Montembeault is a big issue for Montreal, and the fact that he's not out there this morning would indicate that he is going to miss some time. I was actually in the Montreal tunnel when this all went down, and so it must have been something that was lingering, because Montembeault actually came over and talked to the coaches about something was bothering me. Then he went back in the game for like 5 or 6 minutes, and then when I was on the bench doing my Marty St. Louis interview, he actually left. And let's say St. Louis wasn't really paying attention to my question at that moment, because our goaltending change was happening.
I was going to say a lesser reporter might have come in and said, "Marty, what just happened there?"
It was behind me, so I didn't really see it. But the fact that Dobeš was already warming up several minutes before, it leads me to believe it might have been a little bit of a lingering thing, or it happened much earlier in the game. But I mean, that's a big blow, and they're already missing Patrick Laine, who hasn't been great at even strength, but is a power play merchant. When they get on the power play, Laine is somebody you got to deal with. So both teams are dealing with injury question marks, and we'll see how it plays out. Something tells me that the temperature tonight is going to be pretty high, even if it's snowing outside. It snowed a little bit this morning.
It snowed here this morning, people. It snowed here.
Talk about disheartening.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Yes.
One other thing, but we're going to get to Spencer Carberry here in a minute, but one other injury note for Montreal. Patrick Laine didn't come out either, so this is a huge hit to their power play. Laine, I didn't think was, as we said in the last show, didn't think he was particularly effective at Capital One Arena, but he also is their number one power play guy in terms of goals, and he's not going to go tonight either.
Yeah, that is certainly a problem. While we're talking about problems, and this is something that Coach Carberry is going to address here in a minute, and something for fans to track tonight, if Protas is able to get in the lineup either tonight or at some point this series, that'll allow Carberry to shuffle his lineup, especially if they have to come back here for another game. Because with Marty St. Louis having the last change, that Suzuki line was doing really well against the Strome line. So that's something that they're going to want to make an adjustment and see if they can do something to slow down those fast guys.
Short time ago here at Bell Center, it was Spencer Carberry meeting with local media, us, and, well, a lot of national media, too, that are on hand for tonight's Game 4. Have a listen.
Logan skated this morning. Protoss skated this morning. We'll see how they are this afternoon, and then we'll know at warm-up if they're good to go.
Given how LT left the ice, and the concern level when he stumbled off, like how encouraging is it that he was able to get back out there today?
Yeah, he's a big part of our team. He's been great in the series. Was happy that it wasn't anything significant that would keep him out for an extended period of time. So that was positive to see.
Besides having some fun with us, was there anything behind them good and Thompson getting out the ice together at the same time?
Did they go off together?
Yeah.
Was that their decision to do that?
Well played. Well played.
Well-coached players. Well-coached players. I tell you all the time, our team is very, very coachable.
Coach, for the first two games of this series, you play the Dubois line against Suzuki's line. The matchup is different here. How different it is for your line, Dubois' line, to play Dvorak's line?
Mm-hmm.
Different mindset? Or?
Yeah. I think it's significantly different style of play. The shift objectives change a little bit when you're playing against Suzuki's line versus Dvorak's line. So there's a lot of differences, but at the same time too, the matchups are the matchups, and it's my job to look for certain ways to manipulate those scenarios, and it'll be a little bit of a cat and mouse, and I've got some ways that I can help all of our lines and combat what they're trying to do. But you're right, it is a different feel, and our guys are smart enough to know when you play against different players, I know this player is very, very fast, and this player is very, very shifty. This person is a very straight line player and a straightforward and a physical player and a little bit more to handle down low. So just being comfortable with the differences of playing against all four lines, for that matter, and all three pairs of D.
You addressed this or touched on it earlier in the series, and maybe even before it started, but if Protas is ready to come back in, what goes into the calculus as far as who you would have to take out? Because it seems like it'd be a really difficult decision for you guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the what players are potentially coming out for Protoss, but it's a difficult decision, and that's a good position to be in as a head coach. We got guys that are playing at a high level this time of year. There's some things that go into it from a line combination standpoint, chemistry, who's pros played with this year, where do guys fit, hands, different roles. So there's a lot that goes into making the decision on who comes out of the lineup, but we take all those things into account and then obviously make a decision and go with it.
That's right. Tom Wilson's a veteran player, played a lot of games in this league, and he just was saying, like, sometimes I just need to shut up and play. Did you have a conversation with him after the game the other day? I mean, there were some things that went on. Obviously, the stuff on the bench, that's competitive, guys, but, some other things that were happening.
Yeah, I did, and it's such a great example of Willie and his leadership and who he is. Like, there's a prime example of the fiery competitor is, but he also can take a step back and go, I need to be better in this area, or I need to calm down in this situation. So I always appreciate that part of him as a competitor and as a leader. And the other stuff, the competitive stuff inside the game, I'm fine with. Like, that's part of the game. There's some stuff, like the stuff in warm-up, the stuff at TV timeouts. Like, you got to be careful with that, because that's the stuff the league doesn't want to see. Like, when you're going over, like, everybody rides the red line. I did that for many games. But when you go over and grab a puck, like, now we're starting to get into some different areas, like Nick Cousins happens to him in Ottawa. When you go over and take a puck from the other side of the line, TV timeouts, Okay, players are allowed to skate around at TV timeouts, a select amount. If you go and start looking like you aren't on a shift, but you're allowed to come out over the boards, no problem. Guys like to loosen up and stay loose. Now when you go out and you're looking for certain things, or you have an objective in that timeout, now we're getting to outside of between the whistles and even sometimes after the whistle in scrums and that. So those are the things that we're conscious of, and I'm trying to tell our guys to like just leave it alone, and the league obviously is looking, even when you come out for in periods, right? Guys skate around, it's like nothing's going on. Though there's some things that are going on in those moments, which again the league is like big on, is we can't have anything happening here where there's confrontation, there's guys hitting each other, and so that's a separate deal that our guys, and Willie specifically, is cognizant of, and he knows to be smart and be cool in those situations.
One of the things that we are going to be keeping eyes on tonight, especially, Tarik, after what happened in Game 3 between Tom Wilson and seemingly just about everybody, Josh Anderson, the fight on the bench, the crying that everybody saw that was directed toward, he didn't give it away. I think it was Juraj Slafkovsky.
100% it was.
I think it was Slafkovsky.
He did the microphone thing. He was Tom didn't like the fact that Slafkovsky was complaining in the media, so that's why he did the microphone. So Anderson didn't think it was him, so he knew that it was Uri knew that it was directed at him.
One of the things that Tom talked about today is being a little bit more composed in the environment like this. You are riding the line. Martin St. Louis and Spencer Carberry have both said this. You need to get up to the line. We heard what Spencer said there about, playing to the whistle, some of the rough stuff. Even the throwing of gloves is okay as far as that. It's just don't cross the line. You play with that intensity, but don't take it too far. And with your Washington, look, they took too many penalties. You can boil it all the way down you want to, but if you're going to give Montreal power play chances, this environment tonight and what we experienced here in Game 3 was nuts. It's going to be the same here tonight. You've got to be composed.
Exactly. And if you're Tom Wilson and you're missing 12 minutes of game time, almost, unless it's Nick Suzuki who's coming off for 12 minutes of game time, you're losing that trade-off. Tom Wilson is a first-line player on this team. He is way more valuable to the Capitals when he's on the ice and not in the penalty box, even if he is maybe serving as a little bit of a deterrent and mixing things up. That was Tom Wilson from 5-6 years ago. He is way too important to be spending that much time in the box, and he pretty much admitted to that. He said, I got caught up in the moment. It's playoff hockey. It was emotional. I probably should have controlled myself a little bit better, and with regard to the tearing stuff, he said, yeah, I should sometimes I need to do a better job of self-editing and maybe knowing when to, I think in his word, knowing when to shut up. Yes. I was also told that the league has reached out to both teams and said that there's a little bit too much going on during TV timeouts and other
because there's line changes happening and guys are crossing back and forth.
Someone bumped Logan Thompson, and the Capitals took exception to that, and there were some other things. And so the league is fine with patrolling the red line in warm-ups. They're fine with stuff that happens during play. What they don't like is when there are things, when there's gamesmanship, when a guy skates by the other team's bench during a TV timeout and glares at guys or has words for guys. Like that's a little bit too much, and that's what can turn the temperature up and can lead to moments like we saw with Anderson and Wilson wrestling on the bench. I also did a little digging. So there was a tweet out there that said Brock Miles, the head equipment manager, grabbed a broken stick to kind of protect himself. He was like, "No, man, I had the broken stick in my hand anyway." Because I was going to hand it down, and then that all happened, and he goes, it was just coincidence, but he said...
It looked like a lightsaber when he was kind of using the force a little bit.
He did admit that it was pretty funny, but he was like, that's not exactly what happened.
Not exactly what happened, but hey, listen, and Spencer was very funny about it after the game. It was like, there's two large guys in the doorway. I'm trying to leave here. Sure. Let's talk a little bit about the importance tonight of Game 4, and let's just have a full reset. The Capitals are up 2-1. If you win tonight, you're up 3-1, obviously, and a chance to close it out. Why is that important? Why do the Capitals need this Game 4? The environment in this building is next level insane. We could not hear in our headphones upstairs on radio, nor on television for Joe B. and Alan the other night, for you downstairs in your earpiece. and working down. So you can't hear yourself think in this building, which is a problem because if you're the coaches, you're trying to communicate to players. That's an issue. I think the Caps got caught up in what was a distinct home ice advantage for Montreal the other night. This building's too loud. Guys got flustered. We saw uncharacteristic mistakes. Sandin and Carlson, the turnovers in their own zone, led to goals. There were a lot of things that led to problems the other night the Capitals must clean up. If you do that, you have to fight through. Get that win tonight because you really want no part of coming back here for Game 6. Right. You need this. Capital One Arena, the Caps were fine. Yeah. The home ice, the pace of play, everything was exactly what Washington wanted, save what happened in the third period. But the Caps controlled the vast majority of play at 7th and F. They're having more trouble to do that here. I think this game is the biggest pivot point of the series tonight.
I agree with you, and I feel like there's two things. It's Marty St. Louis controlling the last line change and getting the matchups that he wants, and now Spencer Carberry is going to have to decide how much he wants to disrupt the way they've played all year to chase matchups. He mentioned that a little bit in his press conference. And the other thing is, John, if you and I are rattled and flustered because we can't hear our producers in our ear, imagine what a defenseman is feeling when he yells at his partner and his partner doesn't know what he's saying and the goalie doesn't know if he should rim it, and now you've got waving white towels and all of that noise and the singing. And I mean, if you can't steal 10 seconds on the bench to just focus and just think, it's got to be incredibly difficult for the players. Montreal players, they're used to this. The Capitals players, I feel like, and I don't say this lightly, I feel like they were a little rattled at times by just the volume and the intensity and passion of the cheering. There's no real dip. It's loud and very loud and insanely loud.
It's never
and then
quiet.
Back to loud. It's
but
never
I
quiet.
do think that was a missed opportunity. When Connor McMichael got the goal to lead off the game, it quieted the place down.
Did,
the
absolutely.
Capitals could have gotten that second goal.
I agree.
I think the atmosphere would have been vastly different. I think that's exactly what has to happen here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because you're right. And the thing about a passionate fan base like here in Montreal is if the team the Canadiens aren't playing well and the Capitals are controlling the play, that passion can go the other way too, and there can be a little bit of
booing.
Yeah,
yes.
Either booing or just kind of like a little bit of jeering, a little bit of, oh, that was a terrible power play, and you can hear that murmur in the crowd, and everyone starts to feel that on the Canadiens bench too. So, it's something that Spencer Carberry mentioned at the outset of this series. They have a lot of belief coming into the series because they played so well down the stretch. The Capitals' job is going to be to chip away at that belief little by little until they get to the point where, you know what?
Winning a game in Montreal chips away a lot.
Big time. And so I'm totally with you. Winning a game tonight, and, you go up 3-1. Yeah, the series isn't over, as we know. But I mean, you're in the red zone. I mean, now all you got to do is take care of the job at home, and you're moving on to the next round.
Huge game here tonight. And how about the month that Ryan Leonard has had? He made his NHL debut on April 1st in Boston. He has come up with his first ever NHL assist in this series. And he chatted with our Katie Florio yesterday here at Bell Center after practice about his experiences over the course of the last few weeks. It's been a wild ride.
Well, Ryan, obviously a lot to unpack from last night's game. I want to start with the emotional aspect of it. Obviously, tempers flaring, a lot of physicality. How do you all channel that for tomorrow night?
Yeah, obviously turn the page, but obviously it's playoffs. There's emotions are going to be high, and everyone's got to be ready to go when stuff happens like that. So, like I said, emotions are high, and everything's on the line.
You talk about those emotions elevating during playoffs for yourself. Once again, you've been in the NHL less than a month, come in, and now you're in this hostile playoff environment. For you, how do you feel like you've adjusted to everything over the course of these few weeks?
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. Like everyone says, playoffs is the best time of the year, and everyone's got to be playing their best hockey to win. So turn the page from last night and be ready to go tomorrow.
You talk about turning the page, obviously, a few defensive turnovers, some of the problems leading to goals last night. What's the key to limiting those and playing that hockey that we saw in those first two games?
Yeah, just getting back to our habits, being predictable to one another, making the simple plays, not overcomplicating everything, and we'll be just fine.
And for you personally, with your play, very involved, jumping up, getting a lot of chances, it almost feels like once you get one goal here, it's going to come in bunches. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's only a matter of time. Hopefully tomorrow night it goes in, and hopefully be rolling from there.
And last one for you, obviously, we knew coming into this that this atmosphere was going to be unlike any other, and that's exactly what it was. From you guys on the ice, how do you once again be able to communicate when you have a crowd that literally does not let up the entire game?
Yeah, I think everyone, it helps getting a game under your belt here in playoffs. Everyone kind of warned me, and then you get out there and it's a little bit different than you kind of expect. It was good to have that game yesterday. Obviously, it didn't go our way, but learn from it and take the positives and roll from there.
Well, thank you, Ryan. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, for Ryan Leonard, it certainly has been a wild few weeks, and
Sure
for he
has.
and his teammates trying to go up 3-1 in the series. Just for a little bit of perspective here, and the playoffs, it's all about emotion. And for whether you're fans, your broadcasters, your players, your coaches, you look at what happened in Game 1 and Game 2 and you say, I feel good about this. And you lose one game, and you come in here and you lose Game 3, and it's like, oh, this feels terrible. And that's the way the playoffs are. But just as a little bit of a reset here as we go into Game 4 tonight, there is no series that's going to end in a sweep. The closest one was Toronto and Ottawa, and last night Ottawa staves off elimination with a Jake Sanderson overtime game-winning goal. You've got Colorado and Dallas dueling it out 2-2. You had New Jersey, which, quite frankly, I thought the Devils were dead.
Yeah.
They get a win in Game 3. They held serve, and they get a win on home ice. Say all that to say this. The Caps get a win tonight. They are as in as good a position as any team out there to get out of the round and move on to round 2, because outside of maybe Toronto, who's up 3-1 right now, they started earlier, they're in good shape, you are going to lose playoff games. And the Capitals have only lost one. And I know that, there's a scar tissue, and you think about, oh, well, this happened back in 2010. I don't care what happened in 2010. 2010 was a very different time. Every year and every playoff is different. And for every team, even Tampa Bay, it looked like they were getting their doors blown off, and then they turned around and waxed Florida yesterday. So just stay the course.
Yeah.
And when you're here tonight, try and get this game. It's a big game, as it's going to series is coming back here. If you lose tonight, you're coming to Game 6. But you lost one game. And in this Stanley Cup playoffs, everybody's going to lose something. The Caps get that loss out of the way, get the win now.
John, what we're seeing here is just a reminder of the parity in this league, especially amongst those top 16 teams. I mean, it's really, really hard to sweep somebody. I mean, obviously the Caps got swept last year, but I felt like they were really fortunate to even get in the playoffs a year ago. The playoffs this time of year, and it gets increasingly this way throughout the postseason as we go down the road, it's just so important to manage your emotions and just kind of stay even keel. As Jim Zorn said, stay medium, right? Mitch, did you like that?
We did that for Mitch.
We did that for Mitch.
Attaboy, Zorny.
To just kind of not get too caught up in the highs and the lows, because there are going to be lows. You are playing one of the best 16 teams in the NHL. There's a reason they are in the playoffs. You have to just reset, put everything that happened in Game 3 behind you, pretend like the slate is clear, and get back to work. And, the Capitals have to just double down on the fact that they were the best team in the Eastern Conference all year. They are the superior team here. They should have swagger even after losing last game. For all
that went wrong, they could have easily won the game. You minimize the giveaways. They had 17 giveaways.
Yeah.
You put that number at 8, they win that game. You do that tonight, you're going to win that game too.
John, there's a reason that these series are 7 games. I mean, the whole purpose is to find out the best team over the course of 7 games. And, hopefully this ends up in 5 or 6. But that said, the Capitals have to just believe that they are the better team. And I think top to bottom, the delta between their top players and their bottom players is as tight as anyone in the league. And I think that over the course of a long series and a long playoff run, that depth is going to serve them well.
Going to ask you for your takeaway. Going to give you mine here before we leave you on this show. What the Capitals are going to need tonight, and we've talked about it a lot in the series. What you didn't see in Game 3 that you saw in Game 1 and Game 2 was a lot of offensive zone time. It's going to be very easy to see when you're watching tonight if things are going well or things are not. You have to be able to pressure this D. Arbor Jack Guy provides a physical presence for Montreal, yes, and it is something they need. He's also not a very mobile guy back there. They've got a young, inexperienced defensive core. David Savard is not fast. You win this series by pressuring their D. It is really that simple. The Capitals, quite frankly, didn't get enough shots and didn't get enough zone time in the game in Game 3. Do that tonight, you win. That's what I think we need to see. What's your last takeaway here for this tonight?
The key for me is going to be Spencer Carberry finding a way to stop that Suzuki line. I mean, the Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky line, each one of them scored a goal. They play a lot. They are fast. They were the number one team in terms of plus-minus from the Four Nations tournament until the end of the regular season. They were the most productive team in the league. I'm not saying the Canadiens are a one-line team. They're probably a two-line team, but Carberry and his coaches have to find a way, whether it's chasing the matchup, whether it's mixing up the lines, they got to find a way to slow that group down.
It's going to be crazy in here tonight. Bell Center, Montreal, Game 4. See it with Joe B. and Alan May this evening. Radio side, we got you on 106.7 The Fan. Capitals trying to go up 3-1 in this best of 7. For Tarik, I am John. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the Rink Report, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone.